I got to take you to the I-17 yesterday morning, very early, right around 4 a.m. Think the 17 and, Dove Mountain, one of those new exits up there. There was a ICE-involved shooting that happened during a traffic stop, at least according to the reports we have right now. Department of Homeland Security stopped a vehicle on the 17, again, northbound at Dove Valley. They say the driver initially stopped, but then began to drive away, at which point an officer said he feared for his life and fired into the vehicle twice. The suspect was injured and taken to a hospital. Not clear if they were struck by gunfire or breaking glass or whatever. That's what we know. And honestly, that's about all we know of this story.
They are not given a lot of details here, so we're trying to figure out what happened, because obviously now with ICE, this is an incident that has taken place on our freeways, so we have to talk about it and try and find out what exactly happened.
Joining us right now is Michael Gennaco. He's the former chief of the Civil Rights Section of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California and a former chief attorney at the Office of Independent Review for L.A. County. Is it okay if I only read that title once, sir? Because that's a long...
Please just read it once.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gennaco. We do appreciate it. So you can understand, I think a lot of people are looking at this. It happened right here on one of our freeways. It shut down the 17 for the morning traffic, but we really still don't know a lot of details. Do you expect us to learn anything from this?
No.
Oh.
Why not?
Short answer.
And here's why.
Please.
My experience is that the federal government, when the FBI or ICE or any other federal law enforcement officer gets involved in a shooting, unlike, for example, if it was a Phoenix police officer, there's almost no transparency. There's almost no transparency at the beginning. There's almost no transparency at the end. The only thing that might happen, that might provide some insight on what happened, is if in fact the individual that they shot into, that drove away, gets prosecuted.
Okay.
And if he's prosecuted, then there will be a lot of
There'll be
information
evidence
about that.
Yeah, it'll be presented as evidence in court, and we might learn something from that.
Well, I think it's interesting you say no transparency, because I can hear what people are thinking. Well, it's the Trump administration. They're not transparent necessarily. They like to hide stuff. They do this. But this has also happened in other administrations. So if this happened
this is the federal government all the time.
But I think we have to say that because everything is under a microscope because of Trump. This would be, we get the same lack of transparency under Biden, right?
This is how the federal government, unfortunately, traditionally has rolled.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that I think is interesting, especially when it comes to ICE under Trump, are they telling people who they are when they stop? Because we've heard a lot about, well, their faces are covered, and sometimes
they
they're
don't
not
have badges or uniforms, they're in civilian clothes.
So do you know if the person who got pulled over, did he know who was pulling him over? Because it's 4 a.m, and if somebody comes in front of my car and doesn't want to let me drive, and it's not flashing sirens, I'm getting the hell out of there.
Yes, and I think that is part of the confusion. Based on some of the other episodes I have seen that have been reported, it appears that a lot of the deployment by the ICE agents are in unmarked sedans. And the individuals that are ICE agents are wearing civilian attire. I think not only is it an identification problem, but if in fact there are going to be arrests or detentions, those agents don't always have all the tools that one would expect one would have if it was a Phoenix PD arrest. Again, I'm going to
give me an
compare
example.
it to Phoenix because I know Phoenix.
An example of those tools would be what?
The identification, first of all, but body-worn cameras.
So you're saying, like, for example, if Phoenix PD pulls me over, it's a white and blue car. It says Phoenix PD on the door. It's got little lights on top, and the guy's wearing an outfit.
It could be undercover, though.
Yeah.
That's okay, but you would see the lights flashing, and you would see, hopefully, a badge.
They would be wearing a uniform.
Or plain clothes because they're undercover. I don't know.
Yeah, most traffic stops are going to be done by uniformed personnel. not undercover. And,
Okay.
and the reason is because, again, they can be identified. They are in a best situation to arrest individuals. They do more arresting than undercover agents do, and it's just best practice to have a uniform presence. So if in fact it was an undercover operation by Mesa or any other agency, they'd have a uniform partner effectuate the arrest in most cases.
Interesting. Again, we're talking to Michael Gennaco, worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office in California, was a chief attorney for the Office of Independent Review in L.A. So my question to you, Mr. Gennaco, is are federal agents, because I know, I admit that there's HSI, there's ICE, there's FBI, there's all these acronym agencies. Do they wear body cameras? Are they recording like we are seeing, I think, almost every police department in the Valley using?
It does not appear that it appears that they have the ability to outfit themselves with body-worn cameras. But again, the narrative seems to be, at least in the published reports, that many of these incidents are not going to be captured by body-worn cameras because they don't have to wear them. Most agencies, state agencies, as well as local agencies, have a requirement that if you're about to encounter the public or you're about to detain somebody, you got to turn that body-worn camera on.
Right.
I don't think that's the same thing on the federal side.
So with the incident that happened on the I-17, you've got someone who is a suspected illegal immigrant in a car. You've got a few other vehicles that ICE is in. So as the car with the suspected illegal immigrant, it began to speed away for one reason or another. And there was an officer in the path of the vehicle, and the officer feared for his life and fired his weapon. I think it's into the front of the windshield.
Look, windshield or the passenger or the driver's window, one of the two.
I think it's the windshield.
Okay.
Is that protocol? If you feel for your life and you're an officer, whether you're a Phoenix cop or you're an ICE agent, and if a car is coming towards you, are you allowed to shoot into the car?
Most agencies have what's called a shooting at moving vehicles policy, which uses science and experience. Shooting into a car is not very effective for a lot of reasons. So most agencies have policies that inform officers and teach officers that the best technique is to get out of the way. And so we don't know here, based on the facts, whether the agent had time to get away. But I am curious about the path of the bullets. It seems like at least the side driver's window was knocked out. I don't know if that was through gunfire. And it looks like there was another bullet hole in the driver's door, which suggests to me, if you look at physics, that at the time those shots were fired, the agent was on the side of the car, which would make it hard for a car to run him over.
Is part of the concern, again, for other law enforcement, that you're shooting into a car, you may not know who else is in the car? Obviously, you know somebody's driving it and you pulled them over, but should you shoot into a car in general, not knowing if there's, I'm going to say, a child in a car seat in the back?
It should only be done as a very last resort for the reasons you articulate. Also, when you're shooting, you're going to shoot into a windshield. It could ricochet. It could strike another uninvolved motorist. A lot of things that could happen are not good results. The other thing is if you actually succeed and hit the driver on a freeway and that car continues to move forward, now you've got somebody who's been compromised by a bullet wound, and that car's going to land and crash into something.
Go into somewhere, yeah. By the way, sir, sincerely appreciate your insight into this. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time today.
I appreciate your interest.
Outstanding.
Thank you for having me.
That's Michael Gennaco, a former chief of the Civil Rights Section at the U.S. Attorney's Office and former chief attorney at the Office of Independent Review.
I think it's safe to say everything that ICE does now is going to be under a spotlight.
It should be.
Right. We've seen some great work, and we've seen them throw a 67-year-old woman just the other day down a hill. I don't know why, but they tossed her down a hill. I watched it with my own eyes on the video. So I don't know. I don't know.
The lack of body cams, the lack of a requirement that they wear them and use them is concerning.
They should be using body cams, and it should be turned on immediately.
For the same reason we said with police departments before. Why don't you want to record what you're doing?
You should want to do it.
What are you doing?
And the officer should want to do it to protect him or herself.
Both parties act better when there's a camera involved, right? We heard that, and I think a lot of police officers would agree with that.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.